Um, okay, so we're going to move into, hand it over to Eric, and we're going to do show and tell. And Mark, you're our guest, so we'll let you go first. Do you want to share your screen or just?
This is my Tamiya 1/35th scale Centaur tank. If you're not familiar with it, it really was used primarily in the Normandy campaign in the days after D-Day. And it was supposedly going to be basically the battery for a landing craft. So they took out the engines. They didn't want too much weight up high in the superstructure of the ship. And these were going to be used to support the Royal Marines' efforts on shore. And Montgomery's staff decided this wasn't that great an idea, so they put the engines back in. They had left the drivers back in England too, so they came back in, and they went ashore with the Royal Marines on D-Day and distinguished themselves. This is a unusual color for a tank. It's a sort of a light brown, but it's XF52, standard flat earth. It's with the Edward, it's with the deep wading gear, I think they call it, okay, which would be knocked off after they landed. And I'm very proud of this, and I know this is probably the closest thing I could find to a Commonwealth subject to share with you guys. Thank
you. There's actually a Canadian connection to this, because after the Royal Marines used them, the Canadian Parachute Brigade used them for about a month.
Oh, thanks for that, Chuck.
I do believe too that the Royal Marines, Canadians can still join the Royal Marines today.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah. But
does anybody have a question?
Now, is there a reason, Mark? Is there a reason why you chose XF52 flatter? Is it just the perfect match from your eye, or did somebody say that's the color?
Well, I was heavily influenced by the Tamiya directions. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. That's a nice way of saying it. Wow.
I did. The subject is Hunter, which was Tamiya's impression. The name of the tank is Hunter, and I was able to establish a fun fact about it. It was there was a photograph of it on, I think it was June 16th, which, if you are really Normandy fans, you'll know as the date of the Village Bocage battle. And I was always wondering, like, this tank that day was 10 miles north of Village Bocage, and it had Michael Whitman in his Tiger I had run across a couple Centaurs with their 95 millimeter guns. Would that have discouraged him a little bit from busting up that British Reese company?
Interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark. Let's move on to, I guess, alphabetical. Amanda, you are up first today. So go ahead and tell us about your build.
Well, it's the dustware kit of the Fawn L900. The second version where they replaced the original tires with ones that are actually correct. Yeah, they used a post-war truck to base their tires, which are bigger and wrong shape. I found about 3 photos of that truck towing the Tamiya trailer, which is under on hangar 116. And I found a photo of the 22nd Pioneer Battalion, 3rd Company of the 22nd Infantry Division. It's an engineering unit, so I thought I'll do that one. And, you know, the engineers, a lot of the materials are just wood because they had to rebuild the bridges in the east, and it was the easiest way to do it. And the wood comes from Dollarama.
Amanda, what is that? What are those stir sticks? What are they?
Some stir sticks, some various sizes of square wood, from about 1/4 inch up to 3/4. I bought 4 packages, and the next day they were sold out, and you can't get them anymore.
Really?
So, and I also cut some pine in the garage on the table saw, make railroad ties. So,
must be a bunch of modelers. Once they heard that, they went and scoured and got them all.
Right.
So the tape on there is just to hold it together as the glue's drying. So it's just wood glue, and I taped it together. And so I'm gonna stain it a little bit different shades, because, you know, 2 boards are never the same. I've replaced the original tires from the Sonderheimer 116 from the Tamiya kit because they're soft and rubbery, and the wood that's there has a bit of weight. So that's the emblem from the unit.
Yeah.
There's a nice, you can see it on the one driver's side mud guard. It's a little, you have to look, but it's there, and the infantry marking from the Pioneer Company.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Up next, Harvey.
Okay, this is a work in progress. On my Facebook, you'd see it. It's a 148th Heinkel 111 B2, which is the earlier version, the Pedro version that saw action with the Condor Legion in Spain. This is just what the cockpit looks like. Quite obviously different from a regular like Heinkel 111H or so. So quite a unique aircraft. Next slide. This is just a tip that I do to make sure that the wing root connection has a proper angle so that I can rescribe it. I usually take the wing and I draw it on a stencil, and then I put it onto styrene plastic so that once I fit it back in and sand the wing root smooth, I just go over it with this template with a scriber to get a perfect line, so you don't have to worry about going back with the original seam. Next slide. That's just some of the scratch building I did. For those of you unfamiliar with the 111, that little ring there is for the gunner. He basically sits in a seat, but he can also stand on this ring to give him a little bit of flexibility in moving the gun position around. That's the dorsal gunner's position. I didn't know that, and this didn't come in the monogram. I used the monogram kit as a donor kit. It does come with the newer ICM kit, but this gunner's ring mount doesn't come in the monogram kit. Those radios are German radios that I picked up aftermarket. By the way, this model will be in another article in Scale Aircraft Modeling soon. Next slide. For those of you who don't know, but I find that one of the best things I ever bought was a Cameo 4. Thanks, Vince, for your help on that. It's basically a printer cutter. It cuts things. And what I did was I scanned in, you see that little picture there now of the Heinkel 111 camouflage pattern, and I got the software to trace the camouflage patterns, and I just sized them up to give a rough idea as to what they would look like rather than manually doing it. Next slide.
A little bit out of order, but yeah.
That's okay. This is just the tub under belly gunner's position of the Heinkel 111B. Next slide. That's what it looks like prior to painting. And again, pretty much a Heinkel 111 regular World War II version. The only difference is the elliptical wings. The leading edges are much more rounder. They stopped that due to production complexities. And of course, the nose and everything forward is completely different from the World War II Heinkel 111. Next slide. Again, using the cutter, I have the decal sheet. You scan them in, and then you get the machine to retrace them, and you print it out on the Tamiya kabuki tape. And that way, you're painting all your markings on, as opposed to decals. And that's very important in aircraft because you want to eliminate any decal film and anything like that. And it worked like a charm. So, next slide. This is just an example of the appreciating that I did. Nothing fancy. It's actually a black basing. It's black with white in there and a bit of grays. And I'm beginning to mask the camouflage. Next slide.
Yeah, you get nice modulation up here on the tail where you can see different.
That's exactly it. Yep. And you'll see in a sequence of shots in the next one. There you go. See, that's kind of like halfway through. And with this, you've got to mask. There you go. You've got to mask off each camouflage separately. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but that's the only way to maintain the modulation without losing it. Next slide.
Yeah, I guess if you did a base coat of your lightest color the way you would normally do it, you'll totally obliterate all your nice.
Exactly. And I didn't want to do any post shading because I just thought it was too heavy looking. Next slide.
Agreed.
This is the result of the tail is a decal from the kit, but the numbers on the side are all from the printer cutter. They're not decals, and it's perfect. So when you get a large aircraft like that, using masks to spray them on is way better than decals.
Harvey?
Yeah.
Is there actual photographs of that guy riding the bomb on the tail?
There is. Yeah, it's in Patrick Newman's book, Condor, Luftwaffe in Spain.
Yeah, 'cause it's
yeah.
interesting because normally he would be facing the other way.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. But that's exact. There's actual photos, and then in the other side of the tail, there's not a picture here. It was slightly different, and it's proven in a photo.
Photos,
No,
yeah, cool.
yeah, no, I have like it's pretty well finished now. This photo is in progress, but the picture also in the book shows like people walking on the wings and when they were painting it. So that's kind of cool. Next slide.
Oh, cool.
That's basically what it looks like prior to decals and prior to weathering and taking off the mask. So it's you can see the modulation is pretty subtle.
Yeah, oh, that's a beautiful job.
Next slide.
I think that's it.
That's it. There
Yep.
you go.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Cutting Edge? I'm trying to remember. Does anybody remember a timeline for those guys?
I recall reading that there were some sort of issues with the owner, whether it was some. Now I might be wrong, but you know whether it was some sort of cognitive. I'm not making up stories here, but it was a bit controversial. And he quit. But again, I'm that's hearsay. But everything was gone after he left.
Hmm.
All right, up next we have Paul. Are you on here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, yeah, there you go. So Paul sent in.
That's Academy 172nd Kuba wagon.
Wow, 72nd.
Yeah, and Orange 3D Miniatures, they had the radio photo etch, so everything photo etch on there is from the Orange 3D Miniatures.
Wow.
And in the foreground there, that's the door. It does have an engine. A lot of these Academy kits come with an engine.
Wow.
So I figured I might as well keep the door open. I scratch built the pump and the jack there for the
Wow.
inside of the door.
That's
So it's almost got to the point almost ready for the primer. I got to paint it in the dark yellow with some green camouflage.
excellent, Paul.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What was the name of the photo etch company?
Orange 3D. I think they're now more into 3D printing. I think they have stuff on Shapeways. But they had a couple, they didn't have a lot of photo etch, it was mostly small scale stuff for a lot of Jeep stuff, and they had this thing for the Kuba wagon.
Sorry, what was the company, Paul? I misheard.
Orange 3D.
Oh.
Or sometimes it just was O3D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Well,
I think they're on Shapeways now. They do a lot of printing.
we are over to Richard.
Oh, nice.
Oh, hi, this is an oldie but a goodie. It's I don't know, Eric, if you can show this or not, but there's the
Oh my,
original.
that's great. I love it.
It's a baggy kit. It's 172nd Airfix. It's the Henschel 123, and this one's painted as it would have been around Kursk. It was sort of their last hurrah. By 44, they were gone. They jigs and everything else had been trashed. This was supposed to be the precursor to the Stuka. It was the interim thing. It turned out, instead of being a dive bomber, it was a great ground attack, ground support aircraft. And in 43, Richthofen actually asked the company, could you produce some more? And it turned out that the jigs had all been dismantled years before, and there was no way they could do it. So they scrounged what they could from junkyards and training commands and kept them going as long as they could until eventually they just wore out.
Do you know if there's any surviving in the world now?
I do not know. No. The kit itself, the cockpit is scratch built. I cut away the folding doors on the side. Did a little Imagineering to get I think it's you, Harvey, who says, or no, it was Sandy who said a little splash of color never hurts. So I did something that, locking mechanism or something for the side doors, and added fuse extenders for the bombs.
That's cool. And Mark, if you're seeing that coin, that's a Canadian coin. That we do these weird coins with different colors in the center. So. All right.
That's your toonie right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Zugan, you're up next.
All right,
And
cool. Well,
Nice.
I've been kind of negligent in sharing my stuff, so I got 3 different subjects for you guys.
Great.
I know you guys really like Spitfires, so this is the Tamiya 148 Mark V from, it's been a while. I think it came out like mid-90s, but it's still old. It's an oldie, but it's still a goodie. The decal sheet is from Tally Ho. The pilot is a guy named Bernard Duperrier. He flew with the Free French out of 340 Squadron. The stripes are, I believe, what I read was the stripes actually came from Operation Rudder, which was the first planned attempt on Dieppe that eventually got canceled. Then by the time they did Jubilee, they actually took off the stripes. And then so he flew over Dieppe as well, and he shot down DO 117 or 217.
Just a quick question. I always wondered what was the purpose of having the stripes on, even around D-Day and after D-Day. What was the point of it?
For quick identification. So and again, they did this for Rudder, but they didn't do it for Operation Jubilee.
But identification of what? They knew they were Spitfires, like.
No. To make sure you don't shoot your own guys.
Down.
Well,
Aircraft
weren't they doing that before? If they didn't have it.
From ground
Well,
fire, those guys,
Right.
Messerschmitts or Spitfires look the same from the ground.
Okay.
And the Defense of the Reich banding that you would see on Focke-Wulf 190s, which were like red and white stripes under the bottom, to make it clear, don't shoot us, we're on your side.
Yeah.
It's referred to as anti-camouflage, so to make it very obvious.
Yeah.
If you take a look at Regia Marina ships, they'll have red and white stripes on them as well, because again, just don't shoot us, we're on your side, sort of thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Actually, Eric, can you go back one?
Go back one. Sorry, whoops.
Yeah, go back one to the last picture of Spitfire. This is the real reason why I built this plane, guys, is that those are my initials.
I did not notice.
Yes.
All right, go ahead,
That's
Eric.
awesome.
Shot.
That's cool.
This
Is your name on this one somewhere too?
This is
Yeah,
the
it's one of the garage.
24 scale of the AMG Mercedes DTM car from 2011. If you guys aren't familiar, DTM is kind of like German stock car racing, but instead of like Fords and Chevrolets, they have Audis, BMWs, and Mercedes-Benz. The driver of this car is Bruno Spengler. He actually was born in France, but he immigrated to Quebec when he was 3 with his family, so he considers himself Canadian. So this year, that year, 2011, he actually finished 3rd in the overall standings. The following year, 2012, he actually won the championship.
So that's a Canadian subjects again.
Yeah, it's a Canadian subject.
Oh, he's got a Canadian flag there in the back.
Yep.
Oh,
there it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. David and I like Canadian stuff.
Like
Yeah, I know.
everybody else, you can't get the flag accurate, but that's okay.
You know what? Yeah, that's the last thing I need to see is a car with a Canadian flag on it, because I limit myself to Canadian subjects.
Yeah, there you go, David. What's your next project, David?
When you guys were on about the stripes on ships, on one night, the Luftwaffe 111 took out 2 German destroyers. So it was a lot more purposeful than you'd think sometimes.
All right, and then the last one is a bread gun carrier.
Oh, my.
Well, it's the 148 Tamiya. They call it a universal carrier, but I'm going to call it a bread gun carrier because I threw on a couple more bread guns there. I used the Tamiya British infantry accessory kit, and so I put on the kit comes with a forward gun. So then I put a second gun on an anti-aircraft mount, and then the rear one on a bipod mount. And then there's the radio operator in the back, and the forward gunner actually comes from that same accessory kit. This was this is one of those fall together Tamiya kits. This thing only took me about a week.
Wow, that's nice.
Oh, there you go.
What about the figures and some of the rigging, not the rigging, the blankets and all that? Is that part of the kit, or?
Yeah, the blankets were, but but only the driver came with the kit. So I just threw in the radio operator, which you can see the back of his hand, back of his head, and then the gunner in the front.
Are those to me as well?
Yeah, it's the British accessory. Same with the extra brain guns.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same accessory set. And that's it.
Very nice.
Last-
3
last
different
up.
subjects.
Well
Last
done,
up
Zugan.
today,
Well done.
Yeah. Well done.
We
Beautiful.
are over to Stuart.
Stuart, off
All
to you.
right. So this is my Wesp. Basically, I wanted to make it look more like in late fall. So this is the old Tamiya version of it, not the newer one. These are the rubber band tracks. So basically, I just built the landscape. So that's a bit of on a hill. The trees in the background are basically just branches I just stole from people's lawns. But I didn't hurt any trees. They all donated the limbs to me
Wow.
when they were in their sleep. So
Stuart, at least you're not stealing World War I aircraft.
well,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you got to work your way up.
Well, it does look cold. This whole scene does look cold. So you got that right.
Yeah. So and the leaves are basically just regular leaves that I use that leaf puncher. And the rest of the groundwork, what I did was I took leaves and I threw them in a coffee grinder.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, and just mushed it up so it looks like almost like
nice.
leaves. You just threw it on.
That's a nice tip.
Yeah. And so this is the inside of this one is fairly bare. I'm doing another one right now for one in Italy where it's in the firing position. So the back gate is down, so you can see a lot more detail, and I have it much better weathered inside. But anyway, that'll be the next one.
Very cool.
And the last picture, I think this is the last one. Next one.
Yeah, you got one more.
Yeah.
Here.
What I did here was I just took a picture that looked like almost it would fit in the background, so it looks like it's more of a in the forest.
Good idea. Good idea.
That's a picture, Stuart. Is that right in the back there?
Yeah. Well, what I did was I couldn't get one that was large enough, so I took I double printed it, and then I cut it, and I almost tried to paste it so it looks like it's one long forest.
It
but
works. It totally works.
You can see it.
Yeah, no, it works.
But it looks fun.
Well, all the leaves are brown, and
Exactly.
the sky is gray.
Exactly.
And you know where we can go from there.
I was wondering that coffee grinder idea is great.
Yeah.
Until you actually want to make coffee again.
Well, does anybody want to show their stuff just like in front of the camera? That's okay too.
There you go.
Oh
This
my
is-
God, Sikorsky.
S51 RCAF 72nd scale. So this
Wow.
is going to be tiny, right?
Wow.
This is like one of these short run. It's a short run kit, but it's got photo etch in there. I don't know if you
Nice.
can't see the photo etch. Hold on, right? So it's not very big, right? Like there's the actual whole body of it, right? And the photo etch is right there. So this will be interesting. I'm not going to tackle that right away though. But it's strictly it's an S51 helicopter, and I don't have an S51 in my collection, and it's Canadian. So there you go.
Well, going back to Mark's presentation on Wingnut Wings, you can do a couple of Canadians with Wingnut Wing kits, David, right? They got Barker Snipe, for example.
Yeah, I've got Barker's Snipe.
Oh, you got it, eh? Oh.
Yeah, and I've actually got
Roy Brown,
the Fokker. I think it was is it the 7 that was the war prize?
Yeah.
Right? So I've got that one as well. So I'm going to do that one up as because it was a war prize. It's Canadian. It was over here, right?
Do you have decals for that, David? Do you have decals for that Fokker 7 capture?
It is the decals that are in there actually are I think except for the Canadian like the maple leaf that was on the side of it, the decals are basically the same as far as I can tell. And the only issue is I don't know if the lozenge is exactly correct for it, but we'll see. I mean,
Very cool. All right, does anybody want to share their work in front of the camera at all?
I got one more here that came in from Ted as a.
Okay, Ted. Ted, I think you're on with us now, so go ahead.
Oh, is that the Rancor beast?
Oh yeah. I remember.
Holy crap!
I think I showed this before. I'm not sure, but I actually now have him all together, and I've the neat thing about it's a vinyl kit.
Oh wow!
the neat thing about the vinyl kits, I couldn't get him to balance because he's got that, the arm that he holds the pig in is so long, it took his balance out all the time. But what I did when I got him together is I just sat in the modeling room with Marilyn's hair dryer, and I kept on heating his ankles up and then holding his toes and pushing him backwards until he finally was over backwards enough to balance. So now he holds the pig and everything. And he's been sprayed gray, and I've just started spraying him a light tan color because from photographs that I've seen of stills from the photographs from the movie that he was in, he's the one that Luke Skywalker fought in the 6. His undercoating is I think would start at tan and then get reddish brown and then bluish gray splotching on his back. So
very cool.
Now that's about where I am with him now. He's actually a big guy. He's
yeah, it looks big.
Yeah, it's huge.
He's just under a foot tall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who makes the kit?
Hey, pardon?
The kit. Is it Kayado or something?
No, it's Horizon. They did
Horizon. Yes.
Back in around 2000 or so,
Yeah,
1998, that they did a whole whack of vinyl kits. I bought this back then when I was still drinking. I couldn't figure out why the hell I bought it, but it was really neat. And
that was a while ago. That was a while ago, man.
Yeah, 26 years. 26 years.
Congratulations.
Anyways, I just finally this summer I said, for Christ's sakes, I can't just keep on hanging on to this thing because there's a big bloody box. So I started trying to glue to fit his one hand onto his arm. It got a stump arm, so I was making a tea and I just poured the rest of the hot water into a bowl and heated up the end of his hand, and then it's amazing what vinyl will do. Once it's heated up, it's very pliable, and I just stuffed his hand on, and that was the start. So I worked with a hair dryer.
You stopped too many pucks, Ted.
What's that?
He stopped too many pucks in his career.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm getting my first shot tomorrow, so I can get back to hockey.
All right.
Awesome.
This kit, I actually started in 2017. Actually, all 3 kits that I'm going to show you, I started in 2017 and did them partway and shelved them and then pulled them out and finished. So when I pulled this out last week or 2 weeks ago, this is where it was at. And I finished the back part of it.
Oh my.
And this one, I don't know how it got bent. This one I actually had to make because I busted the one that was in the kit. So, but it's just 20 thou plastic rod. It's easy to make. Actually, in hindsight, what I would have done was made all of them myself out of 20 thou plastic rod. So I did a base coat, and then the Israeli half tracks in 1967 had a unique anti-aircraft or aircraft identification on it, and so I decided to mask and paint it myself, and that's what it came out as. And it's okay, except I got a little bit of overspray here, and I screwed up there, but I fixed that later. And there's one on the back too. And so after fixing it, this is what it looks like. And that's the interior where I painted the dash.
Just one quick thing I just want to add before you go on from the Israeli stuff.
Sure.
If you guys want to, if you haven't had a chance yet to watch it, there's a mini series called Valley of Tears. Yeah, it's actually very good on the '73 war, and it's basically like a platoon type movie, where it's just on a tank crew during the '73 war, and their interactions, throughout the whole thing. It's quite good. Although I will say the ending was terrible, but that's my opinion. Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Was that on Netflix?
No, it's you can get it on actually if you got Rogers, You can get it on. They have that. What's it called? Channel.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
Hollywood Suites.
Oh, yeah, Hollywood Suites. On 2000, like the movies for 2000, they have Valley of Tears in there, and you can get it in Hebrew with English subtitles, or you can get it as a dubbed English. And I watched it dubbed English, even though I can understand a little bit of Hebrew, but it's not too bad the dubbed. So, but it's a little gut wrenching at times. But like I said, the ending is absolutely stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Why do the Israelis lose?
Yeah, they lose. No, they don't lose.
Thank you, Stuart.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So this is obviously a king tiger. It's the dragon kit with the Zimmerit. I actually backdated it to one of the first king tigers, one of the first 30. And one of the noticeable things is this little bump right here, which is a cover for a snorkel that they stuck on the first 30 of them. The main reason why I backdated it is because a long time ago I bought pearl tracks for a king tiger, and I didn't realize that they were the early tracks. So eventually I got the kit so I could use the tracks. So this is now gloss coated, and I'm going to start doing washes and weathering on it. But one of the really, really difficult things with this kit, which I never encountered with dragon kits before, is the decals are so thin that these numbers, these are not the first numbers I attempted to apply. The first numbers, first of all, even though they come as one piece, there's no way you can apply them as one piece because they just fall apart. So eventually I ended up separating them so I could apply them. But the other ones, they just fell apart. I don't know if it was old or what. But anyway, the good thing about them being really thin is that they lay down on the Zimmerit really nicely. So you can see here all the ridges. It's like, this is like it's painted on. And then this is the last kit. It's a Staghound anti-aircraft kit. Again, it's at the gloss coat stage. I'm just getting ready to put the decals on it. The wheels are just held on with blue tack right now, so if they don't look right. And it comes with an interior for the turret. The bottom part of the turret isn't attached to the top part yet because I got to weather it still. That's why it looks like it's off. And it has this really nice aiming thing in photo etch. And that's it.
Chuck,